All right, we are live, Tricology Collective. How y'all doing today?
Good.
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, you all. And I am joined here today by my beautiful team, the Tricology Collective. Excited because these phenomenal women have studied, and they are doing some amazing things in their communities so that they can help people not only with endometriosis, but so many other factors that affect the scalp and the hair. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself. I am Kai Smith, a certified trichologist, nearly 3 decades of experience in the beauty industry, licensed, might I add, over a decade of experience of trichological knowledge, and the founder of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, where we certify beauty pros to become trichologists. I have Miss Nicola Forbes Martin here with me. She is my right hand and all that I do behind the scenes. Hey, Nicola, welcome today.
Hey, Kai. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
And I have Miss Dania Durden out of Atlanta, Georgia, or somewhere around that area. What's your real city? What city are you?
I live in Tucker.
So
but nobody knows who that is. So
right, so we got to connect to ATL, right? Because that's what we know. We don't know Tucker, but anyway, she's in Tucker, y'all, and she's doing some amazing things in her salon with hairstyling and trichology, certified with the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases. We got Miss Felicity Allen. This is my country girl, all the way from Cordova, Tennessee, which is near Memphis, Tennessee. How you doing, Felicity?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself?
Doing
hey,
good.
Everybody.
She's doing some amazing things in her beauty business. My girl is a beast when it comes to these non-surgical hair replacement things that you know everybody is wanting these days. But amongst that, she does so many other wonderful things with scalp detoxifications, hair loss, styling. She got you in the Memphis, Tennessee area. We got my girl Jamie Jackson, J Styles. She coming to you from the DMV, y'all.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good. What's up, y'all? What's up, fam?
So Miss Jamie is also, and I'm sorry, Felicity is also certified through the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases. Jamie is soon to be certified with the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, but she is still ready and prepared to take care of your hair loss needs, y'all. So if you are looking for someone in the DMV area, look up J Styles. Jamie, she's in Suitland, Maryland, y'all. So we got a whole lot to unpack today. So much that we all took notes on this. Did y'all got y'all notes? Y'all got y'all notes ready for
My
me?
notes. Got them right here.
So I'm gonna ask each one of you ladies if you can share this on your platform if you didn't get a chance to, because I know you might have been distracted by just making sure you were available when we went live. So share this on your platforms if you can. Before we jump into this hot topic this evening, we are going to be talking about life hacks. We're going to be talking about hacks to living a better life with endometriosis. And while we are not medical professionals that are licensed to diagnose you or to prescribe you, we are paramedical professionals who have done some really deep studies as far as the physiology of the body is concerned. And we have some things that we would like to add from a holistic perspective when sharing endometriosis and things to look out for. So we're just going to have a roundtable discussion about what is going on with women and endometriosis. We have someone within our team who has a personal experience. So she's going to be speaking from a personal experience. We have someone on our team who has a family member who's been dealing with it. So she's going to speak from a personal space as well. And then for the rest of us, we're just going to speak from a space of our studies and what we've seen coming through our hair loss clinic and what we know to be true, factual about endometriosis. So the first, we just want to, for those of you who are not familiar with endometriosis, we want to discuss what that is in short. And before we jump in, can we just ask that you all share this broadcast out with your tribe on social media? Because although you may not be experiencing endometriosis and you may not need the support, there may be someone within your social media tribe who is experiencing this and they are at their wits' end. They've not been getting the support that they need, and they need to hear what we're getting ready to share with you all. So share. Sharing is caring. Let's start off. And any one of you guys on the team, jump in. What is endometriosis in short, you guys?
Who's going first?
I would sum it up as being the tissue that's, okay, so let me put it like this. The tissue that normally lines the uterus, right? It basically starts invading other parts of the body. It's in places where it should not be. It's growing outside of the uterus and other areas where it doesn't belong. Even when I found out like how it can be in the, what is the word I'm looking for? I know I found out it could be like in the bladder and all of those places. I guess when I was studying or before I started trichology, I always thought it just had to do with the uterus and that was it. But it's so interesting how it's like it just starts to take over like a neighbor that's crossing over your yard.
Sure. Yeah,
I just want to say,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was surprised it could be found even on your lungs. So it's just the whole yard.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was before I started ID. I just wanted to be honest about that. It took a lot of researching and trying to understand what endometriosis was. And I noticed just talking with clients that, it all started that, they told me I had a fibroid and, things of that nature. So, and it made me think about it. Like I had a fibroid once before. I mean, I don't have it anymore because of, the alternative therapy that had me to get on to remove it. But it was like, okay, this is not abnormal. I thought it was abnormal because I'm like, what is that? What is a fibroid? It was like, it's the size of a grapefruit. That's why you having all these, discomfort and everything like that. And I was like, oh, okay, something must be wrong with me. But after ID and being in American Academy of Hair Scalp Disease, I just know it's more common than anything now. So I'm glad that I started learning this because I didn't know.
I didn't know about it until after my doctor asked me, did I want any more children? Wow. I didn't know about it. You know how you start, you get a call, you don't see the calls until after you get it. And then all of a sudden you start seeing the same call all the time. So it was like afterwards, that's when I started seeing the commercials and everything about it. And I didn't know about that till 2016. That's when I first heard of it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And so everything that these ladies just said. So I'm just going to add that our endometriosis is when your tissue of the endometrium lining starts growing outside of the uterus. It's typically supposed to grow in the uterus, and then it starts growing outside of the uterus in other places, areas of the body. It's usually supposed to stay limited to the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, and things like that. But as you heard Nicola say, it can grow on your lungs. It can grow in other areas of your body because it's cells that start developing tissue. So those cells can collect in other areas of your body and then develop this tissue. But in a woman who does not have endometriosis, she will typically break down this endometrium lining at her menses time. And that is what you see when we bleed, the endometrium lining breaking down. And because our reproductive system is just for that, reproduction. And so every single month when we go through this 28-day cycle, or this 30-day cycle, 31-day cycle, however long your cycle is, the hormones of the body, they fluctuate based on what day of the cycle you're in. And when I reference the word cycle, I'm not talking about when you're bleeding. I'm not talking about your period. I'm talking about the actual cycle that the reproductive system goes through in a 28-day, 30-day, 31-day, which is typical. Typically, a woman goes through a 28-day cycle where her hormones are fluctuating the body is actually preparing itself to carry a baby, right? If at the time that it's time for your menses, you do not conceive, then your endometrium lining, it breaks down because the hormones are at a specific level that is telling the body that you didn't get pregnant, and this endometrium lining needs to break down. Once that endometrium lining breaks down, we release it through our vagina as blood. And sometimes you may see clots and things like that coming through, right? And so if you have endometriosis and this endometrium lining has started forming and growing outside of the uterus, there is no way for it to break down and be released through your vagina. So it just continues to build up and build up and build up in the area where it's collected. It's not able to be broken down and released every month. So it just continues to build. Hence the reason why you start feeling pain, discomfort. You start having all of these cramps or premenstrual syndrome and things like that, because over time, this endometrium lining continues to build. It continues to build and build and build, and it's not being broken down, right? So when we're looking at that, we're looking at the pain because it's something foreign basically growing outside of where it's normally supposed to be growing. And that is a symptom of your body trying to communicate with you that things are not right. But here's my 2 cents, you guys. And team, y'all chime in wherever you feel the need to insert something. My 2 cents is that we have normalized pain during our menses. Like that's the thing that's supposed to happen. Oh, it's my menses, it's my period is getting ready to start. Oh, my cramps are so bad. You know, I don't feel good. I'm nauseated. I'm sweating. I'm bedridden. I got to get my ibuprofen. Like we have normalized behavior so much that when things are going awry, we don't know, we don't recognize, because we've normalized the way that this feels, and we've ignored all of the signs and symptoms that the body is giving us, that it's sounding alarms and we need to go and check it out. And not only have we normalized it, we've learned how to normalize it from conventional medicine.
It's true too, Kai. And then when we think of it, you know, your grandmother would say, "Oh, darling, this is everybody has that." So you think because your grandmother had it, your mother had it, your aunt had it, that's what you have to deal with. Yes. So it's what we've learned so far, and in between our doctors and our family members that have been really raising us, you know, is what you're supposed to experience. So I completely agree.
But you know, to add to that, Nicola, and I just know, speaking from my experience, that the cramping and the pain that was just excruciating. It wasn't even during the menstrual cycle. So you talk about having cramps like you're having contractions, like you're about to deliver a baby, or you're on your cycle, but you're not. And I know we all grown here, but even when sex becomes becomes painful, that ain't supposed to be painful. So when that's painful, then something is not right. Something is going on.
And that's because what's created in those areas is scar tissue. So now you have fibrous tissue as a result of the endometrium lining growing outside of where it's supposed to grow. It starts developing as scar tissue, fibrous tissue, and it starts irritating areas surrounding where this tissue is now growing because it's out of sort, it's out of place. So of course, if you're having intercourse and you're developing fibrous tissues outside or around the uterus area, things like that, when you go to have sexual intercourse, it's probably going to be painful. Or even if you're not on your menses, you're probably feeling like you're having contractions because the fibrous tissue is irritated. It's irritated. Is that making sense to you guys? Because not to you all as the team, because I know you guys understand this, but to the listeners, you guys are quiet. So if you have questions, please ask your questions, because we don't just want to have a conversation about what we want to as it relates to this topic. We want to make sure that we are impactful in this hour that we're going to spend with you, and that we're answering some of your burning questions as they arise when we speak about this topic. So What is the cause of endometriosis, guys?
It's different. It's different causes. And it can be a little bit of each one of them. Like, I know your immune system could be compromised. The endometrium cells spreading through the body in the bloodstream, I was reading, or the lymphatic system, a series of tubes would just it will spread. The endometrium cells will spread through those systems, and that could be a reason why. I also read genetics, and I will put in there, just because we have been under your teaching, is what we eat and how our lifestyle is. That could be a very huge impact on why endometriosis could be a cause.
And so, just to speak what you were talking about, because I heard you say something about, did you say lymphatic? Did you say lymphatic?
Yeah, lymphatic. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't want to put words in your mouth. But when you were talking about the lymphatic system, it's because the endometrial cells are transported through the lymphatic system. And you know, when things are transported on a blood level, which that's the only way they can be transported throughout the body, we have to remember that the lymphatic system is the trash, and it sweeps every single cell. So if it's dropping off remnants of endometrial cells in different places, then it can spread and grow in other areas of the body. And that is just to help it make sense to the listeners of why you're saying the lymphatic system can help it transport. And just with anything else, the immune system becomes hypersensitive when things start growing in areas where the body wasn't designed for those things to take root. So even though it's in the body, it's foreign for the area that is taking root in. So that's going to cause the immune system to become hyperactive. Definitely going to cause it to become hyperactive. Does anybody want to add anything else?
To Kai, also there's environmental influences based on the toxins in where you live, even the type of dishes that you use, the plastics that can be called endocrine disruptors. So your environment and the foods that you eat and the toxins with the foods that you eat is also a contributing factor as well.
Most definitely. And so for me, I want to add this last thing about how I think that we're getting it, because when you research it, it tells you, there's no known cause to why people are experiencing endometriosis. Like, they don't really know, they don't understand what's happening. And so I just want to add my 2 cents. This is Kai's 2 cents. Now, y'all don't have to believe me, but this is my 2 cents. Is that I go back to viruses and bacteria, and the way we collect viruses and bacteria. And when we collect those viruses and bacteria through animal products, synthetic hormones, things like what Nicola said, endotoxins that are endocrine disruptors through the plastic bottles and things like that. When we pick up and we accumulate too much of this, it starts riding very hard on our liver. The liver is the body's detoxification system, one of the excretory systems that the body uses by way of fecal matter to release a buildup of toxins. When we have a liver that is sluggish, a liver that is not functioning optimally, then the liver, and we have a diet that is filled with high fats, high protein, we overwork the liver in having to break down all of this stuff that we're putting in it, because the more we put in it, the more bile has to be secreted. And when we only can concentrate on secreting bile, the liver has over 500 functions. And when we can only concentrate on secreting bile, because we have to meet the demands that the person is putting on the body by way of what's being put into the mouth, and then what you're putting in your mouth happens to be filled with bacteria and viruses and other hormones, then then it overworks the liver, and then the liver can't do its job, which is detoxify. And so we start building up estrogen and stuff like that into the liver, because the liver is supposed to detoxify and break down the unwanted estrogen that is collecting in the body. But when it's sluggish, it can't do that. And that estrogen starts building up there, which is another reason why a person may have endometriosis, is because they have estrogen dominance going on. So if the liver cannot break down the estrogen properly, it builds up. And now what was once something that the body needed to use in order to create other hormones, in order to create other functions to happen in the body, it starts working against us because we've collected too much of it in the body. Mm-hmm. And then we end up building additional endometrium cells. We end up building more virus, more pathogen, more bacteria that starts breeding. It's a breeding ground for these cells to collect. And then the body starts developing this additional tissue to protect itself. And then it traps those toxins inside of it that starts creating all of the rest of the spiral from the endometrium lining. And it collecting and building cells in additional places that it shouldn't be. So it starts with viruses and bacteria. So this is one of the reasons why the immune system is hit so hard, because it recognizes the viruses and bacteria, and then the body starts trying to defend itself by creating these additional tissues to trap the viruses and bacteria in it, and it continues to grow, and it grows out of hand. It creates a hyperactive immune system. So as a result, we have endometriosis. And then we're trying to figure out how to get rid of it. But what's on the tip of our fork is feeding it. So at the end of the day, it does start, just like Felicity said that she learned as a result of taking my course. She learned that it starts with what you eat. It starts with what you're breathing. And while we can't control the environment, we can't control how frequently we detox to release our bodies of what we've inhaled from the environment. Anybody else have anything to add? Because we're going to move on to the next thing.
I just feel like that was worth way more than 2 minutes.
Right. I have nothing else to say.
I have the collection plate.
Right. Crazy.
Right. I have nothing else to say.
But
Pretty much said it.
Yeah.
What you say, Nicola?
What I appreciate about that is that you're taking it outside of the normal stuff that we hear. When our clients Google this stuff, they hear the basic stuff that really there's no, it doesn't answer the questions that they're looking for. So I appreciate the fact that you break it down and see this is connected to and what's the root source of it. So thank you for that. That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk, and I'm sure Jamie probably got a lot to say about this. What are some symptoms of endometriosis?
What are some symptoms?
Feedback. Well, as far as the symptoms, I know for me, I didn't experience the bleeding issue or the heavy bleeding issue with it. I only experienced the pain of it. And I was on birth control pills for so long that I probably had endometriosis, but the birth control was probably subsiding the pain, the pain that I was feeling at that time. I didn't even know it. And then, once I went for my annual, once my doctor, they saw a fibroid. It was just one fibroid at the time. And she was just like, well, I'm not too bothered by now, right now, you're not having any pain. So I'm like, okay, so I stopped taking the birth control thinking that was the cause of me getting the fibroids, and I just wish I'd have known all of this back in 2016, but I know now and I can, understand it a little bit better. But to go from one fibroid to another fibroid to multiple fibroids, and didn't know that I had endometriosis until they were inside. That's when my doctor was like, no wonder you was having so much pain. You had a whole lot going on in there. And that was the very first I heard of endometriosis. And that's what she said, that pain alone would have caused me the pain by itself, even without having the fibroids.
But you know what I find disturbing?
Yeah.
What I find disturbing is that they didn't utilize the science that they have to detect that before they went inside. That's what I find disturbing. I find disturbing that they waited until they got in before they could see what was going on, when there are so many tests that they could do to measure the endometrium lining to see how many centimeters it is, to let you know if you're building up this endometrium lining there. There are too many things. And that's why it's so good to partner with a person like ourselves, right? Because we help you advocate. As a woman, you may not understand what it is that you're experiencing, but because we have such in-depth knowledge of the symptoms, and in holistic care, we don't address the symptom. We don't chase the symptom. We go more so and look for the root. And while we are not a medical professional, we definitely could stand behind you to get in the trenches to help you advocate and give you the right questions to ask, so that you don't have to wait until Jamie goes in and they open you up and find out that you have all of this there. It should have been enough when she was in excruciating pain for them to take it a step further and look deeper into the matter. But because we are insured by companies and we are seen by doctors who are not really looking to solve the problem, they're more so looking to chase the symptom, and then they'll address it with a birth control pill that's going to subside the symptom, but the root is still brewing. That endometrium lining was still getting thicker and thicker and thicker, but it was balancing her hormones to make her think that she was okay. That's why she didn't have any more pain. It gave her a false sense that she was okay. That is disturbing to me. And that's why Megan says that passion, though. That's why you see that passion, because I understand what's happening, and I understand how conventional medicine will give you something that will be synthetic and it will subside the symptom, but the alarm will still be sounding off in other areas. And if you're not careful, you will miss it, and it'll be too late when you find out. That right there is why I go so hard in the paint and I do what I do. Because it's just unacceptable. We have too much technology, too much science these days to not know anything. They going to the moon and back. They getting ready to start going to Mars. You mean to tell me you can't tell me about my physiology, but you can tell me about something else happening on another planet? You want to know why? Because they busy trying to make money on that other planet. I wouldn't be surprised if it ain't already life going on the moon as many years as they've been going there, right? But if they keep you healthy, they can't make money if they keep you healthy. Y'all better wake up to this. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all better wake up to this. Hair loss is deeper than just hair loss. It ain't just your hair responding because you've done something superficial on your scalp. It's something connected to those body systems, that's connected to that blood supply, that's connected to that derma papilla that's at the base of your follicle that's growing that hair or not growing that hair. Y'all better come on with me. Y'all better come on with me. Who else? Dania, you have a family member that suffered from endometriosis. What are some things that you recognized?
I was really young when she went through it, but I just remember like walking in the room one day and she was in the corner, like balled up, crying. And of course, I didn't know what was happening. And as I got older and heard about like her having a hysterectomy and her saying why, and I was like, what is that? But as younger, especially before trichology, I heard about it, but didn't really understand what it meant and what was happening. So it makes me now in this place, with the knowledge that I have, really think back like, wow, how many people's lives could be changed if it was really looked at from a holistic perspective, or if it was really looked at from, okay, well, maybe you should adjust your lifestyle, do these things or work on these things versus let's just do this surgery. Because like Jamie said, the first thing they asked her was, do you want more children? Like you can't get that question out of your head once you leave the doctor's office.
Right.
Because once somebody asks you that, it's just, and it's someone who doesn't have children, it's like, well, what's going, like you automatically assume the worst.
Right.
So I definitely just from that perspective of that being that person in my family being so close to me, just always wondering like how many more people suffer from this and really don't understand the cause, don't understand the things that could be changed, don't understand, like Felicity said, food, lifestyle. You always say it's at the tip of our fork. But so many people are not aware that it starts with something like what we sit down at the table and eat.
And I'm gonna just say this because I'm getting agitated. I guess agitated is the bad word to say, but when you have an individual that go through these things, they go through the symptoms and they want a better life, they want to be able to not to be in pain and things of that nature, and you let them know what's going on, like, okay, you're gonna have to change your eating habits or you're gonna keep going through this now. But Felicity, I can't leave the cheese alone. I can't do this. Is it that you can't do it or you won't do it?
It's a
Now, I'm trying to help you. It's a lifestyle change. In order for you to stop going through these symptoms, there are going to be some things that you're going to have to do in your life to change that in order for you to say, you know what, I'm having a good day today. Yeah, that's that period coming, but she's going to be all right, and I am too. Like, it's a lot of individuals dealing with that, and you seeing more and more younger children. Children, it's starting at a younger age now. Like like my daughter, she's 16 years old and she was throwing up and having cramps and stuff. And I'm with the background I got, I'm asking all these questions like, okay, we need to go to the doctor and okay, we're gonna eliminate this, we're gonna do that because now it's happening to our children. And if we don't start changing ourselves, our children not gonna listen to us. They're not gonna hear what we have. So, well, mama, you still doing X, Y, and Z. You just take a pill. So it's all about that lifestyle change. You guys always hear us talk about that, and that's where it starts. And that's the root of everything. You have to start to want to do better for yourself, and then start with that food that you got at the tip of the fork.
That was
I just had to put that out there.
That was good.
I had to put that out there.
And look, and the piggyback for that, Felicity, because if here it was me thinking, well, what could have caused this? Where did this come from? And me, 30 years in the hair industry, you on your feet all day, you just eating whatever. Somebody go to the store, somebody bringing you something to eat, you just eating. We don't sit and take lunch breaks. We're eating and working. So I've had that lifestyle for years. And it wasn't until I became a student of American Academy of Hair and Scalp Disease, and prior to that, taking ID hair loss behind the chair to start identifying like, wow, all the stuff that we're learning, we start to see ourselves first. And when we was our first Felicity ID in June the year before, I was sitting there like, oh my gosh, this is stepping on, all 10 of my toes. All along.
It's really breaking. I mean, all I can think of is breaking generational curses because your kids only eat the stuff you introduce them to.
Hello.
Absolutely. Hello. And I was putting sugar in everything because my mama put sugar in everything.
Exactly. Because like what Kai said, though, that's what keeps our families sick.
That's where genetics come from. That's why everybody keeps saying genetics. Yeah. You keep following what your mama did, what her mama did, what her mama did. So that's where the genetics come from. Absolutely. And that's what people scream about. I'm like, okay, now let's talk about what you eating because we can leave the genetics alone. Let's talk about this.
Felicity feeling so bad about that thing.
Right.
My girl feeling some some type of way.
Right. Exactly. That's why I'm laughing. Be agitated over here, right?
I'm so agitated. Like it's oh my gosh. I'm sorry, y'all.
Don't apologize.
Oh no, how you feel? I don't know how you feel because we have come into a place where we're so accustomed to getting a pill because we want that quick fix, and that's everything. And a lot of times, you have the information for the client, you have it for them. They paid you for it, you give it, and they're not following through. A lot of times, because when we go to our doctors, it's cut it out or medicated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get it. When you have it and you want to help somebody, but they also have to be ready to make that change. You know, so yeah. That's a big.
That was good stuff, y'all. All right.
No,
Anybody else want to add anything about any pain, symptoms of endometriosis? Because that's where we were. Anything else? We know infertility, painful bowel movements. You know,
that was the one. That was the one I was like, how many women really have this problem, but probably think it's just supposed to happen because it's been happening for so long. Because I mean, even if you stop and think about problems with your digestive system in general, you condition to feel like, oh, when I eat this, this is supposed to happen. It's happened all these years. So I was like, I would be very interested to know which percentage of women definitely have the digestive problems.
And you know, to add to that, it's like you have women that are trying to get pregnant and don't have an idea of why they can't, you know, why they can't get pregnant. So sometimes it's not until they start questioning, okay, me and my husband or significant, we've been trying for so long. What is wrong with me? What is happening? You know, now in my case, I was done. I didn't want no more children. I was good. But the first part is, why are you asking me? You trying to take my female parts? Why are you asking me that? You know, so even though I didn't want no more kids, I just wasn't thinking to have to go through that, you know, that surgery and everything. So it's different. It's definitely different.
and Judy says, I will get blackouts from endometriosis and debilitating bowel movements.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And so how many women are
suffering
and they are having a disconnect with their doctor because the doctor is not performing the right tests. They don't really understand. And the first thing that they want to ask you is, do you want to have any more children? But do you guys recognize how much money is being made when they put you in surgery and they remove some kind of organ or tissue from your body? They're getting $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for these procedures. You know, so it's advantageous for them as a medical professional to just remove it, but they leave you feeling like you don't have a choice because their way of making things better is what I consider painting the leaves green. If they can't fix it by medication and it keeps giving you complications, then they will actually start cutting things out. And I call that painting the leaves green. In horticulture, when something goes wrong with the plant, the tree, it's not bearing the right fruit or whatever it's designed to do, they don't spray paint the leaves or the fruit the color that it's supposed to be, paint the leaves green. They go into the soil, they dig up the soil, they test the soil to see what's void in the soil. And that's the same thing that you have to do to get to the root cause of what's happening with the human. The soil is our actual blood. The soil is the blood, and we need to use certain diagnostic tests. But when you go in asking for diagnostic tests, trying to advocate for yourself, if you don't know how to line up and represent yourself correctly, then you get denied for the test that you think you have because you don't know how to advocate for yourself, right? They tell you no. They keep telling you no. Meanwhile, you're getting sicker and more pain. But the first thing is, if they want to prescribe you a birth control pill to subside it, what is that telling you? That obviously there's an imbalance with your female hormones. If they're going to give you a birth control pill and the birth control pill is going to help make you feel better, Judy says her surgery in 2011 was $42,000.
Jesus.
$42,000 because they get paid by taking out your organs.
Yeah.
And I think the crazy part is, Kai, they can remove your uterus and you still have symptoms because you have it on other organs.
Yep.
Go to the same symptoms.
Right.
You know,
I'm not understanding this.
Why is it that you still have endometrial cells in other places? Because it goes back to the root of what I said. It's the viruses and the bacteria that's coming in and it's wreaking havoc. Those viruses and that bacteria, if it was something that was limited only to your reproductive system, it starts there. But if it was something only limited to there, then your lymphatic system would not be able to transport endometrial cells to other areas of the body for this tissue to grow. The tissue is only growing because the body is trying to protect itself from the viruses and the bacteria. So it starts developing the tissue. And then those tissues harbor it encapsulates those viruses and those bacteria. And then the foods that we eat feeds those viruses and bacteria, and it allows for those tissues to continue to grow. Come on, y'all. Come on.
It's intentional to keep us safe.
I'm gonna have to get a bell.
Intentional.
So every time she do a checkmate, I'm gonna start ring, 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 ring. Every time she drop a nugget, ring, 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 ring. I'm gonna get my tambourine. That's what I'm gonna get.
You all need a tambourine.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have a tambourine on our next one.
So listen, Judy says, I just had a client that had a stroke 4 months ago because she had 6 surgeries for endometriosis. She has nerve damage. She now is in therapy. But this is another something that Nicola and I spoke about the central nervous system and its heightened sensitivity as a result of having these endometrial cells circulating throughout the body. And then for your client to have a stroke, she's had 6 surgeries for endometriosis. Come on.
Crazy. That's crazy.
All right. Y'all keep on saying. I'm gonna listen to you. Okay. All right.
What
Y'all need a whole team.
That's
Need
crazy.
a team.
Surgery.
I said what's so interesting though is like I remember growing up, your parents used to say, "Don't do as I say, not as I do," and I feel like that we still normalize what we see, and I feel like that's why things like this when we come live is so important. Because I feel like there's somebody else like Judy or like her client who's sitting back watching and they're like, this can stop with me. I can change my lifestyle. I don't have to turn that switch on, as you always say, Kai. You don't have to flip that switch on. But you can have a better education for yourself when you go into the doctor's office, and you're not going to just take the option of that surgery.
Absolutely. And they bank on you not knowing. And I'm closing my window, you guys, as they doing construction outside, and I don't know if it's interfering. But I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but when you go in knowing a little something, they want to shut you down and make you feel like you don't know much because you start pressing up on their edges of normal and they know they can't run that okie doke crap to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Judy also says she had cells grow on her liver as well.
Wow.
This is crazy.
Yep.
So the thing is, when we talked about the liver before, the liver is one of the excretory systems.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that your body is not excreting toxins properly. It's overworking the liver, and the liver is overworked by so many different things because it has over 500 functions that it has to perform in the body. Kenitria says, this is so good, bringing the good. I've shared and added people. Thank you always for your support, Kenitria. Our running joke in our webinars and ID is that Kenitria is Kai Jr. and Sandra Nita is Nicola Jr. So where is Nicola Jr.? We don't see her on this slide.
Right.
Judy says, I gave her a Zyto scan and we are now doing a full detox every week. So we got to make sure that we are detoxing the we're detoxing these toxins that come in, and they end up laying eggs and creating neurotoxins that end up damaging our nervous system, endotoxins that end up damaging our endocrine system, dermatoxins that end up, in the dermis. So there's so many reasons behind this. Nicola Forbes Jr. is working.
Unacceptable. Well, we got 10 jobs. She's Jamaican, so she got to take care of that other job right now. Okay. She'll catch me on the replay.
Yes. So anybody else, team, y'all want to add anything about how about symptoms of endometriosis? If not, we're going to move on to the next question. All right. So
I just want to add just real quick that some women might not have any symptoms at all and have endometriosis.
Well, and that's a good point to add, because there are science says that there are 4 different levels of endometriosis, and that with that, so thank you for adding that point, Jamie. With that, the level of endometriosis, if you are a 1 or a 4, is not going to dictate the level of pain one should have. Somebody could be a 4 and not have pain. Somebody could be a 1 and have excruciating pain. So once again, pain comes from the nervous system. Mm-hmm. So depending on the sensitivity, depending on how taxed your nervous system already is, it's going to dictate how much pain you're feeling. So that was a good point.
Tambourine, Jamie, the tambourine.
I'm gonna have my tambourine. I promise you the next time. I'm gonna have it.
Snap.
Right, we do this for right now, y'all. We're gonna do this.
So how do you manage endometriosis? I mean, I think we've been talking about that indirectly the whole time that we've been on. So anybody want to come in and share their thoughts on that?
I know heat is one way you can manage the pain. Painkillers is one. I want to say I was reading some. Y'all can help me out. It's a procedure that they can get done.
Yeah, they go in and actually cut down on that endometrium lining.
I can't think of the name of it, but yeah.
But Judy says it took 10 years for a doctor to diagnose her.
And I hear that a lot. It takes a long time for a doctor to diagnose an individual with endometriosis. And then they often sometimes misdiagnose them with, I think it was IBS.
Yes.
Yeah, IBS.
Yeah.
We just got bad cramps.
Yep.
Yep.
It's normal.
And it's not. And that's what I said about these becoming desensitized to the feelings of PMS.
And one of the things that I also read is that it particularly in communities of color or minorities, that we are more disenfranchised because we don't have access to the testing that we could possibly have. So it will take a longer time for minorities to actually become diagnosed because we just don't have the kind of testing afforded to us. So that's something else that's also a point that I realized.
And that is what's so unfortunate. But you want to know the thing that can combat that is connecting with a trichologist, someone like one of us who understands the symptoms and who will be able to really interpret what's really happening to you sooner, quicker, faster. And we will be able to educate you on what to go in and say to your doctor specifically, instead of chasing your tail and feeling defeated like you're making up or imagining these things happening to yourself when you go in, because they talk you down off of what you feel every time, and they want to give you another prescription of this, or just take some ibuprofen for that. Everything is okay. You're normal. I've tested all of this or that. When you partner with a trichologist, we can help you interpret the language that your body is speaking. While we are not medical professionals, we understand how to interpret the symptoms. We understand which body systems those symptoms are coming from, and we know how to put it together collectively to send you on your way to advocate for yourself in that doctor's office, which will get you a result sooner, quicker, faster, and you will be able to get what you need sooner, quicker, faster. Make sense, y'all? She's telling you laparoscopic is the name of the procedure.
Yes, thank you, Judy. Thank you. I couldn't think of. Thank you. Girl always helped me out.
That's that country girl. Thank you.
Oh Lord, you have a good time doing this for sure.
Absolutely. She said, "You're welcome. You're welcome." So really, honestly, you guys, in managing endometriosis, to manage it, you really need to shift your lifestyle. Managing it is not taking a birth control pill. Managing it is not taking other painkillers. Managing it is not going in and having the procedure to remove the buildup of cells, of fibrous tissue that's there. That's not managing it. That's suppressing it. It's not management. Management is keeping that thing at bay so that it can stop ruling your life. Managing it is reversing those symptoms so that you don't feel that and you're not in a space of having to live with endometriosis. That's managing it. And what does it take to manage that? It's going to take you really reversing your lifestyle, really going in, doing a flush out, doing a detoxification, and then making sure that the things that led you to having endometriosis, that you're not still living that same lifestyle. Because once again, endometriosis is really viruses and bacteria that have built up and formed into this fibrous tissue that's leaving scar tissue inside of your body. And what's feeding those bacteria and viruses is the food that you're eating, namely dairy, namely these different hormones that come by way of synthetic hormones that come by way of the animal proteins that you're eating. Am I telling you to stop eating meat? That is not what I just said. I said it comes by way of eating animal protein that has synthetic hormones in it. So, and that has had bacteria, viruses that they've given antibiotics to kill it, and then you go and you eat it. Right? So, how do you still consume meat and balance yourself? You do that by choosing organic meats that are not being mass produced and fed antibiotics and fed all of the things that we would not eat, hormones and things like that, that would not be good for us. Now, if you choose to remove animal product, that's one thing, but I'm not saying that you have to do that. I'm not saying that that's the only way you can manage your endometriosis. What I'm saying is that you manage your endometriosis by not accumulating more viruses and bacteria into your body, which normally comes by way of dairy and animal products that have these antibiotics, that have these synthetic hormones in them. Dairy, milk, eggs, all of that stuff needs to be removed from your diet if you have endometriosis. All of that stuff. Hey, mama. All of that.
Hey, mama.
All of that stuff needs to be removed from your diet in order to heal. I eat red meat free range or from a butcher. Absolutely. Because it's the actual hormones and the antibiotics and things in that meat that's feeding the pathogens in the body that have accumulated in that tissue that the body has created to protect itself. Right? And so that's how you manage it, by what you're putting in your mouth. Honestly. And really, that's the answer for any kind of disease or disorder that you have.
All right, Jamie, I want it.
Bottom line.
Come on, Felicity.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just in it. Like that's just it.
The part is we know this stuff,
Period.
but we hear it again.
What they saying now? Period. That's it. What you eating? That's it.
One of the ladies that I follow on social media, what's her name? Her name is Sadia, but she's the lady out of Philly, the cooking lady. I can't think of her name. She say, period poo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Period.
That's it. It's hard in the beginning, but it's worth it. I make sure to remove foods that also elevate estrogen, as well as almonds, eggplants, eggs. Absolutely. So when you're looking at your diet, at your lifestyle, you have to assess everything. Because remember, ladies, earlier in this conversation, I said that estrogen drives it. So if your liver is not able to detoxify the excess estrogen, then the estrogen levels will build up. And I said, typically a person with endometriosis has elevated amounts of estrogen in their body. So you don't want to eat foods that build estrogen. Now, if you are a woman who's in menopause and you need your estrogen built, but you don't have endometriosis, that's fine for you. But if you are a woman who has endometriosis, you can't afford to have excess estrogen in your bloodstream because it is going to feed the endometriosis. It's going to feed it. So you have to watch what you're eating. You have to detoxify properly so that you don't build up those estrogens, because the body is going to naturally secrete estrogen because that's what it's supposed to do, especially until you get into your perimenopausal, menopausal phases of life, and then it's secreted in your adrenal cortex. It's no longer secreted in your ovaries, but still, at any rate, the body needs estrogen. So you need to figure out the right balance of estrogen for yourself and then create your diet according to that, so that you can be within homeostasis. I also added oils and supplements to help with progesterone, because progesterone is usually the culprit. A woman with endometriosis usually has estrogen dominance and they lack progesterone, because progesterone is what's supposed to be secreted to help that endometrium lining break down at a certain point of the cycle so that we can remove that endometrium lining. But if there is not enough progesterone in ratio to the estrogen, a woman with endometriosis is going to have problems. Okay, so we got to make sure we understand what's happening to our bodies, because the doctor is going to tell you all kinds of things. He'll put you on birth control pills and it will be laden with estradiol. So you got to be careful of what you're taking, because just because it's a doctor, and I'm not trying to disqualify any doctor, but what I am telling you to do is make sure you're qualified for yourself before you go in there looking for a doctor to qualify you.
Amen.
And diagnose you. Yeah.
Amen.
That's all I'm saying. Is that the doctor's job, he's practicing, she's practicing medicine. We're made equally, but we respond to things differently. So what work for one might not work for you. So you got to understand your makeup. You got to understand how you roll, how you flow. You got to understand your symptoms so that you can go in there and explain what's happening to you. And it's better done if you have a trichologist on your team that can help you interpret that. We finish here. I want to move on. Yeah. All right. Why do women result in getting a hysterectomy with endometriosis?
I would just say one of the reasons, if a person doesn't want any more children or don't want any kids, and she and the doctor came to that conclusion. That's just one.
I mean, I think that's what's pushed, because the general consensus is that the uterus is what's causing it to happen. So let's get rid of what's causing it to happen. But for many people, that's really not the source. So it's the consensus is just take it out. It's not working. It's giving me problems. Get rid of it. And Kai talked about it earlier that, it's a big moneymaker. So it's also in the benefit of the medical professional to do that because of the money that they stand to make. And all the moving parts.
And then it just goes back to let's cut it out. If it's not working, let's just cut it out. We're going to paint the leaves green. We're going to make your body think that you can live without reproductive organs. So cut it out, right? Because they don't want to waste time trying to figure out the root. And the root is the bacteria and the viruses that's causing this to grow. And so they will have you have a hysterectomy. And a lot of times when you have the hysterectomy, you will still be having the pain. So how could you still have pain if the reproductive organs was the culprit? How could you still have pain with something that no longer exists?
This body, that's not the culprit, clearly. Yeah, Jamie.
I'm gonna sip my tea on that.
I'm gonna sip my water.
Right there.
Sip my tea. That's all.
There, you know, so important.
So this is just food for thought, you guys. We want to put something on your mind to make you think outside of the box about your health. We definitely want to put some things on your mind because too many women are experiencing a diagnosis of endometriosis. Too many women have not even been diagnosed that have endometriosis. And what is the root? The root is the fact that there are some viruses and bacteria floating around in the body, and everybody reacts differently. We all have some kind of viruses and bacteria floating around, but we all don't have endometriosis. So what that's saying, again, we are made equally, but we respond differently. Right? We're made equally, but we respond differently. The next question, why can some women experience hair loss with endometriosis?
Because of the imbalance of hormones. You know, and the hormones, the female reproductive hormones is the estrogen and the progesterone. So that imbalance, too much or too little secretion, can cause the imbalance in the body and cause thinning or hair loss.
Absolutely. And not to mention that because endometriosis is the culprit in other underlying issues like having painful bowel movements. So it's obstructing gastrointestinal issues. Having immune system deficiencies, if you will. So when you look at the underlying culprit that comes about with endometriosis, it consisting of bacteria and viruses, and we look at a compromised immune system, then the body starts kind of going haywire, and it can start sounding off so many different alarms, not just within the reproductive system, but within other body systems. Looking at the lymphatic system, and some of the endometrial cells are transported by way of the lymphatic system, which is the garbage system. Looking at the detoxifying excretory system of the liver being laden with all of these toxins that it has to be able to rid itself of, but it can't. So there's so many different reasons why a woman could experience hair loss as a result of endometriosis. Her imbalance in sex hormones is definitely at the top of the list. At the top of the list, that she may start showing patterns of genetic hair loss. She may show patterns of diffused hair loss as a result of other body systems being impeded as a result of these endometrial cells. So many things. Anybody else want to add something to that?
So, Kai, when you think about the amount of blood that their body is, the amount of heavy periods that they have, and for an extended period of time, because sometimes it's days or it's weeks. So there's an iron deficiency, there's an oxygen deficiency, and so that in itself, just an iron deficiency can cause hair fall as well too. So that
Absolutely
is a part of it as well.
Absolutely.
And to add to that, Nicola, some of the medications used to treat endometriosis, you know, is listed as a side effect and cause hair loss. Well, you know, excessive shedding.
Absolutely right.
I like the snapping.
You like the snapping? The snapping? Okay.
Wow. So GDP coming in, make a marriage. Wow. Yeah.
They can.
Mm-hmm.
As heavy as they are, they can mimic that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So it's almost like you're hemorrhaging. It's called dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea. Is endometriosis preventable?
depends on who. Hey, it really depends how you want to have your lifestyle. I mean, just go back to your lifestyle and how you know presenting yourself in it, like what you're eating. Are you being active? Like it goes back to that. So yes, it's preventable, but you got to ask yourself if you want to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. And so just to piggyback off of that, a lot of us up until now listening to this live probably thought that there wasn't anything they could do to avoid endometriosis because it's always been said that you don't know why. We don't know. The same thing with CCCA, central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. It's been said that we don't know what causes CCCA in women and there's no cure for it. We can inject you with corticosteroid shots, and we can manage it, but we can't guarantee that it won't come back. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's not the same. I'm not saying it's the same diagnosis, but what I'm comparing it to, just to clarify, I'm comparing it to doctors saying that they don't know why a thing happens and that you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z just to keep it at bay. So with that, say that 5 times fast. Central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. Central cicatricial I love it. Y'all know I'm a fool. But at any rate, it's the same situation, you guys. And they tell you that there's no cure. They tell you that they don't know how it happens because they are not looking at root causes. They're just looking at people who have it and they try to categorize people and then do studies to see the resemblances and what kind of things people have in common when they do these studies. But at the same time, inflammation is inflammation. And where does inflammation come from? Inflammation didn't just settle into the hair follicles of a person just because it's genetics or, just because they're Black, because they say that's the number one common type of hair loss in Black women, African-American women. So there has to be a greater rhyme or reason. It didn't just settle into the hair follicles. The hair follicles weren't the thing that the body just chose to destruct. There's a reason behind all of that, right? And so if they really told you how to heal yourself from it, you wouldn't need to be a slave to the corticosteroid injections. You wouldn't need to be a slave to the hair transplants. You wouldn't need to be a slave to the medications. You wouldn't need to be a slave to any of that, right? Absolutely. So at the end of the day, when you're dealing with endometriosis, it's the same thing. They're not telling you because they don't, I won't say they don't want you to be cured, but if they gave you certain information, which there are people out here sharing this same information that I'm sharing with you, it's just not as mainstream as the information that conventional medicine is going to share with you. But if they share with you that if you rid your body of viruses and bacteria, that the pathogens wouldn't be able to grow if you didn't feed it the certain foods that they have the grocery stores filled with. They have the outer aisles of the grocery stores filled with the healthy stuff, and all the other 15, 25 aisles are filled with all of the stuff that's killing you. So at the end of the day, it's preventable. If you decide that you're going to say no to all of the comfort foods, to all of the lazy type of meal preparation, it's going to cause you to have to make a bigger effort. And for the most of us, we are living fast-paced lives and we ain't got time to do all of that.
That's the truth.
I'm going to say this. I just want to say this because me and Jamie had this conversation. And we was talking to her daughter, and it just brought this thought to my mind, like fast food and like, the foods in the aisles that you're saying, people normalize that as, oh, I'm cooking from home, so it's not processed. It is processed because at the end of the day, it still have preservatives and things of that, chemicals in the food, in the box of food, the macaroni, cheese, and the pasta and everything like that. It still have chemicals in it to preserve it for you to cook it. That's why you're able to freeze it for so long and take it out to cook it. If it was not so much chemicals in it, it would go bad within days. It wouldn't last that long. And people are normalizing that. Well, I'm not eating processed food. You are eating processed food because you don't have they have to understand the definition of process, because it's created to be normal. Fast food created to be normal. I remember back in the day going to McDonald's or Burger King or anywhere, you look forward to that. Yeah. Other than that, you was eating at home. But nowadays, everybody living in a fast-paced environment, we're normalizing things that shouldn't be normal.
And to add to that, Felicity, we was talking with my poo butt, but to find that now she's away at college, so she's limited to what she can eat health-wise. Everything she's eating now is either processed or take out food now that she has to order because the cafeteria may close at a certain time. And I'm sure the cafeteria food isn't, I'm sure, that's preserved. They got that in the freezer, some type, somewhere and everything. And so she's limited to what she can get to, right now. And then on top of that, I noticed the fast food prices is cheaper to eat. It costs more to eat healthy. They try to kill us. Yeah. We go McDonald's or we go somewhere and it's cheaper than it is to get than it is to eat healthy. It costs more. But what's the cost? Your health, your life, or you worry about the dollars?
I think
adding my own.
After that, Jamie, because I was listening to Joyce Meyer and she said we spend tomorrow's health today. That resonated. So what we do today, we actually spend tomorrow's health, and I was like, okay, it makes so much sense. So yeah,
absolutely,
that's going forward.
And so, in a nutshell, it's preventable. Endometriosis is preventable. Endometriosis, you could live with it and not have all the excruciating pain if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to make the changes and move away from the things that got you there. So you're going to have to stop doing a whole lot of things. And the majority of the people don't want to stop doing those things because they've become comfortable in their routine. Yet they're uncomfortable in the pain that they're feeling, but it must not be painful enough because you don't want to make those changes. We find all the excuses not to make the changes that we need in order to thrive, right? Not just survive. So how can a trichologist support women with endometriosis?
I mean, this has been we've been talking about it in a roundabout way in here, but a trichologist will know how to serve you in a space of knowing what testing to take and how to holistically analyze what your body system is going through to pinpoint where your source is. And that's the key. We're able to, as paramedical professionals, pinpoint the root source of it. And if need be, align you with the doctors, with the right conversation with the doctors to be able to get that help that you need. So that's the piece that we do in general. We help you to find out why. And then give you the protocols to incorporate in your lifestyle so that you'll be able to manage and prevent a lot of the symptoms that you're going through.
Absolutely. Judy says, yes, ma'am, I have been feeling better for 3 years now. And the last 6 months have been even better, especially with V-steaming every week. So if you guys are not familiar with V-steaming, it's really holistic, essential oils, things like that help to nurture the vaginal canal so that you can subside any types of ailments and things that you may have going on there. Is it the only way to improve your lifestyle, can you just do V-steam and forego all the other stuff? Absolutely not. You're going to have to go the full distance. What Judy is saying is that she's growing her own garden. She's using fruits and vegetables that she's growing on her own. That takes a lot of commitment, and that she's made so many different changes with her lifestyle. And now additionally adding the V-steam every week has supported her in her healing process. Thank you for sharing that, Judy. And she's saying it's a lifestyle change. Absolutely it is. Did any one of you ladies want to add anything else to how a trichologist can support women with endometriosis?
But with the training that you have given us, you just taught us to go deep and ask enough questions to help them not only understand why they're going through what they're going through, but what questions to ask the doctor. What I can't talk about all trichologists. I can just talk about the trichologist you train, and you train us to understand that, hey, it's more just asking X, Y, and Z. Like, we got to go deeper to help our clients understand with the Zytos and with, just various of things that you have shown us in your program to help our clients to be an advocate for their health when they are talking about, their endometriosis or anything. And that's what I'm very grateful for. I just had to throw that out there.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to that she's even teaching us to identify without the Zyto scan.
Yeah.
To be able to get to the root cause of the hormonal imbalance to get the body back in homeostasis. That's all I got for that.
One more for you. The part that's amazing to me is that we can do it in virtually. They don't have to be in the office with us. We don't have to do all of the treatments in person to get results. And that's a piece that makes a difference in the group that I belong to. Thank God.
Yes.
My age.
I can't talk about other trichologists.
Right.
These here, we got y'all. We got y'all. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You gonna say something, Dania?
I was saying that's the thing. Like, when people ask me about hair loss, they're like, well, what can I do? What can you give me? And I'm like, it's so much deeper than the scalp and the hair that you see. My goal is to make sure that your body is functioning properly and you're balanced. Your hair is supposed to grow, but it has to follow the body.
Yes, I love it. What questions should a woman be equipped to ask her doctor if she suspects she has endometriosis? What questions?
Where do you start?
I would say, one, why am I in so much pain? Can you explain to me why I'm having this pain when I'm not on my cycle? Like, that would be the number one question, to just have excruciating pain ongoing. And so I think that would be one question that they can go and ask the doctor.
Okay.
I mean, Kai, it's kind of, because when we look at the questions that we ask the doctor, a lot of times they don't give us the answers that we need. So I would first say align with a trichologist that can give you the questions, because it's more to it than saying, yes, you want to know do you have a thick endometrial lining? Yes, you want to know what your sex hormone levels are. Those are important, but a lot of times you get just take this pill. So or if you're opting for any kind of surgery, what are the pros and cons to the surgery, and what are any kind of effects of it? Will I be infertile if I follow something? Because people are going to follow what the doctor says. They're going to do the surgery at times. So if you're going to do the surgery, find out all you can about it. How is it going to affect my body? Will I be infertile? Will the pain stop? Or will it exasperate? And those are some answers that they really can't answer, because without knowing the root source, you can't get the answer that you're looking for. But at least start by saying, can you measure my sex hormone levels? And as a trichologist, I can tell you the complete sex hormone panel, where your doctor may not give you that. But at least start with saying, what are my options? What are my pros and cons? And find out, will it affect your infertility? Or if they go in there to just do the initial scraping of the uterus laparoscopically, will you have to go and have a uterus taken out? Because a lot of times you go in for a laparoscopic and they're like, you know what, we got in there and we had to take your entire uterus. So those things kind of happen. So I just find that it's good to have questions to ask, but without being armed with really the information to go in and ask the questions, you're going to get surface answers. And that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think that's good, because my idea of being able to support a woman who comes into my clinic or that I see virtually with endometriosis, or I suspect that she may have endometriosis because she's talking to me about all of these symptoms, but she's not yet been diagnosed. But I know, based on my experience, that she probably does have endometriosis. Would I be able to outright tell her that she has endometriosis? Absolutely not. But what I would be able to tell her is go in and ask your doctor all of these questions. The first question I would say, like you said, is the measurement of her sex hormones. Not just estrogen or estradiol and progesterone, but looking at that overall. But also, I would be interested to know what my liver function is, because I want to know if my liver is detoxifying as it should. But I will caution you, because if you're listening into this while we're live or on the replay, and you go and you start asking your doctor for these types of tests, and they look at it from their blood reference range of normal, and they're not viewing it from a blood reference range of optimal, you're going to always get the answer that your blood reference range is okay, but it is not in alignment with the way your body feels. So just going it on your own, you're going to hit a dead end when you're going up against your doctor. So this is why you need to connect with a trichologist to support you in this, so that they can walk you through this. They can coach you as to what questions to ask when you get a response, what your rebuttal should be, so that they can help guide that conversation, getting you to the point that you need to be, so that you don't end up losing a uterus, unless you want to. Unless you just at the point where you feel like you don't care. But even if I don't need my uterus anymore, God gave it to me, and I don't want you to take it away just because you're telling me that I don't need it and that I have an imbalance and something obstructing it, right? It's mine. I want to keep it until I get out of here, right? So that's the way I feel about it, because I know that just removing the uterus as a result of having endometriosis is not going to ultimately solve the problem. And that if you are a woman who is in her 30s, early 40s, and you've not started going through the perimenopausal phases yet, then you're going to be thrust into premature menopause, and you're going to start having some other issues as a result of having that hysterectomy, right? So you trade one for the other, if you will. So you got to be really careful in how you navigate this process. So this is why it's not as cut and dry as to say, let me test my hormones, because they'll tell you that it's okay, but your symptoms is saying otherwise. But also asking them to do some kind of ultrasound so that you can look and measure your endometrial lining, so that you can see how thick it is or not. All of these things will help you. And then looking at the types of food that you're eating, seeing if they are a contributing factor to what you're feeling, trying to troubleshoot it before you end up on the surgeon's bed and having something removed, right? Trying to see how you can get your body back to functioning the way that it should. And it's not going to be an overnight process. So don't think because you've eaten properly for 2 weeks that all of your symptoms should go away. That this time when you have your menses, oh, it felt good. I didn't have as much pain because I stopped eating all of those other things. And then you go back to gradually eating the things that made you feel bad. When you go get a lifestyle and you start off on a new path, that's no different than repentance. When you repent from a thing, that means you turn away from that thing and that you don't want to do it again. It's the same thing when you get a new lifestyle. That lifestyle that got you in trouble, you are repenting from that lifestyle. And you are now saying that I am going to enter into a new phase of life with a new lifestyle that's going to be free of dysfunction and causing my physiological parts to not be in alignment with one another. You got to repent from that thing. And that's hard. Because that food be calling you. It be calling me, y'all. I ain't gonna even lie. And I'm just saying. So we're not on here, shaking our fingers at you, because we all individually have our own issues going on with our health that we have to be accountable for. So just because you know better don't mean you're doing better. It means you should do better, but just because you know better does not mean that you are doing better, or it doesn't mean that just because you are doing better that it's a cakewalk. It means that it's a conscious choice every day to say no to that thing, or hell no to that thing that keeps calling you in the back of your mind. Come get that cake. Come get this banana pudding, like the one that's in my room that I'm gonna go get after I get off of here. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man, ice cream is my guilty pleasure. I'm saying that we're not talking to you saying that you are just going to be 100% perfect. But what we are doing is making you aware of the things that's making you ill. We're not saying that they ain't going to keep calling on your name.
Right.
They keep calling.
They just, because they keep calling that banana pudding last night, y'all. I had banana pudding from LA, right? Oh, Jesus. When I tell you that chessman on the top was it for me, and that banana pudding, because usually if it's too sweet, it'll make me sick, right? If I eat too much of it. When I tell you that she had that thing just right, and I'm glad I ordered 2 16-ounce cups of it, because I'm going in there after I eat these enchiladas, and I'm going to have me some banana pudding for the night, okay? So that's a side note, but I'm telling you, you're so serious, I had to inject some foolishness, because we're just so serious.
That's good, because people need to know we everyday people.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
They need to know we everyday people. We have.
It's the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
That's it.
Balance.
And today, I'm gonna be in the 20.
Can you make sure that one spoonful is specifically for me?
Yes.
I'm sitting here trying to remember, is that same banana pudding when we was at ID?
No,
That ain't the same one.
No, this is different. And that wasn't banana pudding.
That was cake.
That was cake.
Oh, okay. I know we had something.
Now my little cousin made that. He made that. Woo, that was just simple.
I'm saying, I'm just gonna have one spoon. I'm just gonna have one spoon. The next thing I heard, that was the end of the container. We're only having one spoon.
Everybody.
And then you be sitting there fussing at yourself like you knew you weren't supposed to do that.
No.
Yes. Christina said the refrigerator be whispering every time I walk past. And then it'll say, and then the refrigerator say, you heard me. You heard me. And then Mama said, it knows your name.
Oh my God.
It knows your name. Yes, it does. It called me by first name basis. Me and the refrigerator on a first name basis, right? It even got a nickname for me. So I'm just, I'm just telling y'all. At the end of the day, we are all human, and we all have our own devices that, that we use for whatever pleasure, guilty pleasure, emotional comfort, stress, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you guys, we have to be aware of the culprits that come to seek and destroy our health, and that conventional medicine is not going to repair our health. They're going to give us prescription drugs that will simulate the body's functions, but it will not correct the functions that the body was created to execute on its own. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by understanding physiology, understanding how those body systems are supposed to operate, and then understanding what needs to happen in its space as a result of that misfire to fill in that gap. At the end of the day, why do they call my name so late? Yes.
That's a struggle. I promise it is. Especially if you cook something real good for dinner. Yeah. And you get into relaxing, you be like, ooh, I want me a second serving of that. I gotta fight that. I have to fight that.
And when you cooking, you don't want to eat it anyway right then and there because you done did all the cooking.
Right.
I love it, y'all. So let's see what else we got. So we can because we've been on here, y'all. Can y'all believe we've been on here an hour and a half? We're supposed to give y'all an hour of this goodness, and we've been on here an hour and a half. So let me go ahead and let's see. What generalized advice would you give to someone who has already been diagnosed with endometriosis? Is there anything general that you would leave our viewers with, whether they're on live or catching the replay?
I would say to work out regularly and watch your diet. That's what I would say, because I wish, like I said, I've known this information prior to. And I'm guilty with she's named all the milk and sugar and all of that cream in my coffee. I know that's what was going on. I've been sitting back thinking like, oh, okay, that's probably what made me have it, So, but watch your diet, try to work out regularly, and try. It's hard, but try to manage your stress levels. That would be my advice on if someone who has it. Minimize that dairy. Yeah. And I'm talking to myself. Eliminate. Okay. Talking to myself.
I know I think the main thing is to understand that it's not a death sentence, that you can make some changes and you will see some results. You just gotta persevere and keep pushing and like everyone says, be mindful of anything that has estrogen in it, because that will exasperate it. So any estrogen rich foods, definitely you want to eliminate that from your diet. But it's not a death sentence. You just keep moving and keep moving. And like Judy said, it's been 3 years and 6 months or something of that nature, and she has a whole nother she has a lot of relief, and she's gonna have a much better pain-free life. So she's a witness, and we didn't know she was gonna say that. So it's doable.
Absolutely. Anybody else have anything you want to add?
I think especially like mentioning, a lot of times people don't think about alcohol and drinks and, social drinking. That's definitely something that you should limit or eliminate, just because what happens when because alcohol can raise your estrogen levels. So I
don't know why you're laughing.
Oops.
It is. Bing, 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 bing.
There you go. Right.
Got it.
You guys are crazy. As y'all can see, we cannot wait so we can see each other in person, because we have been doing this birthday for so long. Like, we cannot wait.
Can't wait.
Yeah. And y'all, I'm gonna hope that she has us banana pudding so we can eat it all together.
Yeah. She could just mail me some. Mail mine. She said accent. Yeah.
She already traveled from California, so we should be able to get some.
Yeah.
See, because y'all know I ain't in California. I know I'm in Houston. I'm not in California no more.
That's right. My birthday April. So yeah. Get me.
My iPad. See, now it's time to be a mama. Now I got the little one asking me for my iPad. See, this is dead.
Okay, I'll try to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You don't want to be seen, huh? Go ahead and stand up.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Say hi to the people. Wait, where are we?
What in the world?
Say hi.
Hi.
Go.
BFF.
So she's crawling on the floor, so she's not in the camera. I am alive.
Floor 2.
What'd you say, Nicola?
Girl at 5'7" will crawl on the floor too. She almost knocked the desk over one time.
I let you stop because I thought she was getting ready to unplug the computer and we were gonna have a whole malfunction.
Listen. So yeah.
Oh, Mama said add the chicken.
Mama.
Banana pudding and chicken.
Look at Tennessee. Tennessee trying to get that chicken. I told you we coming. We coming to the South, man. We coming. Mom gonna have the chicken and anointing and everything when she come. All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. This has been a really good live, you guys. We try to break. We don't want to be all stiff when we come up in here with you guys. We want to show you organically who we are. Y'all know organically who I am. But we want to show as a team, we want to show the connectivity that we have, the chemistry, and we don't want it to be all stuffy because we're dealing with real people, real life issues, and we want to be able to connect with you all. So we try to be as transparent as we can during our process so that we can support you through your process. So at any rate, if anybody needs our support, whether you've listened to this live, whether you're listening to it on a replay, whether you know anyone within the Trichology Collective or not, and maybe you were referred to watch this live by your friend or loved one, and you are in, for me, you can be anywhere in the United States, anywhere on the globe, I can support you. You can contact me at yourhairlossadvocate.com. Dania, can you share your information and how they can contact you?
Yes, I am Nias, NIAS_styles on Instagram. And you can contact me through there and I will send you all the necessary information.
Nicola?
I'm Nicola Forbes Beauty on Instagram, as well as Facebook, or NicolaForbesBeauty.com.
All right, Felicity?
Her main story. That is just your own story. You can catch me on IG and Facebook. Inbox me and I will get back to you.
All right, Her Main Story on Instagram or Facebook. And this is if you are in Memphis, Tennessee area for Felicity and you want to be in contact with someone in person, or if you are in the Long Island, New York area for Nicola, she can also support you virtually as well. She has a system, but she is taking customers in person. Dania is in Tucker, Georgia. If you are in the Atlanta, Decatur area, anywhere like that, she is not far from that area. She can see you in person. Jamie of J Styles in Suitland, Maryland, or the DMV area, can you give the information for them to contact you?
You can contact me at J Styles. That's JAISTYLZ. And that's everything. Facebook, Instagram, website, everything. That's how you can contact me.
All right. And so collectively, we're all operating in the trichological realm, and we are here to support you. We're here to help you interpret the language your body is speaking through your hair so that we can pinpoint what your doctor has often overlooked, and we could deal with the issue from the root and not the symptom. This is the best way to begin your healing process. While we are not doctors, we are paramedical professionals. We do partner with other medical professionals in a capacity that we cannot legally operate in. We will reach out to other medical professionals to support us with anything concerning your health. And then if you are a beauty pro and you are looking to connect, dive in deeper with trichology, you can start with the 3-day trichological intensive, which is ID hair loss behind the chair. We have the next session coming up June 6th through the 8th. It is going to be virtually. Guys, just know anything concerning the Kai Smith brand will remain virtual for the duration of 2021. So anything that you see me speaking about that I am doing, it will be done by way of Zoom. We are a virtual platform until further notice, until we feel comfortable being in a space with one another. We want to be responsible in the midst of this pandemic, and all the while we miss each other. We miss the touch of human beings. We miss the energy of being in the room, the element that brings. We can wait in order to keep ourselves and you safe. So we are not going to rush into anything. We understand that wearing a mask, you can do all of that, but we would prefer to respect the standards that the nation has set forth. And until further notice, we will be virtual. So anything that I'm offering will be from a virtual perspective for the duration of 2021. And then we will reassess where we are at the top of 2022. So ID hair loss behind the chair is going to be virtual June 6th through the 8th, 3-day trichological intensive for you to dig in, get your big toe wet to see what this trichology game is all about. If you say, I already know what I need and I want to just become certified, then the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases is where you may want to land. And we are an organization who prides ourselves on successful trichologists post certification. We're not just interested in getting you through a certification process just to say that you're certified. We are interested in your success post graduation. So we make sure that we connect with you throughout those 8 months so that we are in the trenches and we are tracking with you from the theory to the practical to the result, so that you are confident in what you are executing on when you go back to your community when you're practicing on live human beings. So if you are interested in anything that I've just discussed, you can reach out to me in my email inbox or on my social media, in my social media messenger. You can reach out to me at justaskkai@gmail.com or go directly to my Facebook Messenger and reach out to me, and I will redirect you and tell you the best way to contact me. All right. So, ladies, we're getting ready to exit out of here. I appreciate your time as always. This has been a fire live. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it just as much as we've enjoyed sharing our insight with you. I hope that this has blessed you, that it has helped shift your perspective on your situation with endometriosis, or if you have a loved one that's experiencing it, that you can go back and share this information with them so that they can redirect their situation and get the support that they need. You guys, we are going to call it a night, and it's a wrap. Y'all be good to yourselves. I'll see you next time.
Bye.